Just a caution, we hear from the health experts all the time, not all granola bars are created equally, but you can feel good about this bar because you can make it. Becky Low at the Dairy Council of Utah is offering up this healthy homemade granola bar recipe, and another bonus, it's a meal on the go. You can feel good about putting this in your kids' hands and sending them out the door.
Absolutely. You know, you put it in a baggie or just give it a napkin wrapped around it and give them a glass of milk and you have a really complete meal as well.
So what we hear from the health experts, sugar can be the hidden issue with these boxed granola bars.
Right. Sugar, fat, and salt, and let's just start with the sugar. You can control it when you make it. So for example, I'm using some brown sugar and that will add extra flavor rather than just white sugar.
Okay.
But remember, the sugar comes in the form of honey, it comes in the form of the sugar itself, and it also comes in the form of the fruit
and
that we add to it.
And with the honey, is it that honey is actually healthier for us, still sweet but healthier?
You know, the amount that you're using, it is, no. It's sweet, but it's sweeter. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind because it has flavor. Right. Okay. Right. So, with any of these recipes, here's just a couple of tips.
Yeah.
And so, let's pull one together and just talk about some of those. Oatmeal, that's a given. You know, all of them start with the oatmeal. In fact, I'm going to give you this that you can kind of stir as we're going.
Okay, Becky knows I'm a grade A stir girl. I can do that.
I'm going to use, this is a chewy or a soft granola bar. And so we'll need a little bit of binding. And when you're making it yourself, you can either use the whole wheat flour or the white flour. Okay. And I'm going to add both of it today.
And you say that serves as the binding?
Yeah, yeah. It's a starch, and so it's going to thicken up as we bake this. And so instead of the sugar making it crisp and holding it together, we're putting in a binder with it.
I like a chewy granola bar anyway.
Okay, I am adding the brown sugar, and this is about a half a cup. You can cut that back if you're making it yourself. And see, that's the nice thing, is that it becomes a taste preference, and you're controlling those things. Okay, then I like some crunch with it, so either a wheat germ or flaxseed. And I personally like the flaxseed. It's a little crunchy. You know, both of them are nutritious. Any foods that we add have their own little nutrition component with it.
Yeah, you've got great fiber going on in there.
Right, right. So we'll not use the wheat germ.
Okay, but you could.
Okay, you could. Okay, we also need some flavoring, and so just a little bit of salt, and I like to use pumpkin pie spice. Okay. You could use just all cinnamon with it. Whoops, didn't get all that out.
How's my stirring skills, Becky?
You are doing very well as we're talking here. Okay, the next thing is I like some fruit. So a couple of different fruits. You know, if you're using a dried fruit like the raisins, and sorry, I'm going to put those the raisins in. Fruit's good, but any time it's dried, it's actually concentrating that sugar. Okay, so this is something that's a natural sugar, but it's concentrated. So be aware of that. Also, just kind of mention if you're using some chips, in fact, grab one of those bananas and just kind of, that's a banana chip that's a freeze-dried, and it snaps, and so it's very brittle, and so that's going to act different than something that's leathery like this apple or the raisins.
And we were going for chewy, right? So
yeah, I like that. Okay, I also like to add some nuts. Nuts will also add some fat to it naturally. You know, they're naturally there. And I also like to add a little bit of coconut. Yum. Now the coconut has some sugar. If you wanted to use the unsweetened, that's one other place that you can cut it down.
See, just to have the control, like you're pointing out with each ingredient we add, just have that control is kind of a healthy peace of mind.
Okay, now you've mixed all that together. Let's talk about some other things. Make a little well in the center. Okay. And we'll add the rest of this. Okay, so the first thing is that we want to add, you know, many times the homemade granola will have a lot of oil with it. I'm using butter for the flavor and cut back on that. And then a very common item is applesauce, putting in some applesauce with it.
I didn't know that, okay.
So you can put in the applesauce. Now be aware, applesauce and any kind of fat, butter, oil, shortening, they're going to act different. So, you know, if you're putting in too much applesauce, it's going to be like a brick. Okay. You want something that's still soft and something that's still moist.
So quantity matters at that point.
It does. Yeah. It does. But you can substitute with it. Okay, a little bit of vanilla. I love having some almond with it instead of the vanilla.
Well, pear's good with the fruit, right?
Right. And then our honey. Yeah, scrape that out. You know, this is actually a nice one that you can use, that storage honey that maybe has gone sugary. Just melt that down and you can put it in. Okay. And because we're putting a little bit of flour, I'm also going to add an egg to that. All right, mix it up. That's it. That's the recipe.
That's it?
That's it.
It feels like not a lot of liquid and a lot of dry ingredients, but it will work.
It does. It does. Now again, you know, we're using a little bit of that binder, the flour and some eggs as the binder rather than oil and sugar, you know, that's going to fuse those together.
Oops.
We also have simple ingredients. You can identify, you know, what all those ingredients are. And then as you're, while you're doing that, I'll just mention this part. I like to line any of my baking pans with the parchment paper. And also, if you just add a little shot of nonstick spray in the bottom of it, that'll help hold that in place.
There it is.
Yep, dump
Ready?
it in. 9x9 pan. If you don't have a 9x9 pan,
who is making a mess? Who is?
Well, it's not me.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And they zoom in on it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay, I'll just mention too that you could use a 9x13. This is a 9x13. You just wouldn't put it clear down to the end. So, you know, leave a space with it. And this does not spread during baking, so you're okay with it. Another thing is I like to use my hands and they're not wet, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in there as well and just pat that in.
Clean up on aisle 2.
Bake that for about 20-25 minutes until it just starts to brown on the edges. And then we're good to go. In fact, here's some. This parchment paper actually acts, if you can come back here and take a look at this, it acts as a handle. Now, so that we lift it out of the pan with those handles. Now that's kind of soft, so we're not going to lift it out right now. But you can see what we've done right here. Cut it into bars. Also, another thing with the granola bars, because they are very dense, dense in nutrition, with calories, with, and then some of those things that we like to control, you know, the sugar or the fat, then cut it into smaller pieces. You know, you could have just the big bar or cut it into the small bar.
Ooh, you're packing so much good, though, into that bar. You can feel great about it. Side of milk to wash it down?
Yes, absolutely, and it just kind of complements the whole meal. Breakfast, lunch, a snack, on the go, you know, it's easy to do.
How do you store these then?
Oh, I like to put them in an airtight container.
Okay. Awesome. Becky, we'll be trying these at our house. Thank you so much.
You bet.
If you want Becky's recipe for homemade granola, head over to our website, studio5.ksl.com. We've also posted a bonus link to a past interview with nutritionist Trish Brimhall and how to select a commercial granola bar that meets a healthy standard as well. So look for all of that information at studio5.ksl.com.